Welcome, everybody. We are being joined by the one and only star of the original Storm Chasers, and of course, everybody knows him from Tornado Hunters, the wonderful Chris Chiddick. Chris, thank you so much for coming in today.
Oh, thanks for having me, guys. It's great to be here. I know in the UK where Kurt and Kieran are, it's got to be what, like 8, 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah, we're
Eight
trying to
o'clock.
get everybody.
It's still
Prime
daytime
time.
here. It's 3 o'clock my time. I'm in Central Time right now. But thanks for
You're
having
3
me.
o'clock?
Great to be here.
Yeah, thank you. And we got Kurt, who's in. Where are you at, Kurt?
Yeah, I'm in Hampshire. So that's the south of England. So
Okay.
I'm way down south where the weather's warmer, so they say.
Gotcha.
But,
So you missed the
Not
wind.
always true. Not always true. But yeah, that's where I'm based. Yes.
Gotcha.
Lovely place. Lovely place to be.
Glad to
Yeah,
have
thank
you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and jump into this. Chris, everybody, first off, you've been in this for how long?
Let's see. I started in 1998, so it'd be 26 years now.
Jeez, 98. So you're originally from Michigan?
Originally from Michigan, born and raised in Grand Rapids. Went to school at a place called Central Michigan University.
Okay.
So the last couple of weeks for me have been absolutely amazing as far as football goes, with the University of Michigan winning the Natty, and Lions coming close. But
It doesn't get any better for you, does it? Yeah.
But still, I'm still happy for them. Like it's the best they've done in 32 years, something like that.
My whole life.
Yeah.
I remember when they went to the playoffs when I was in 5th grade, and Barry Sanders was all the rage. Yeah. What's that?
With Barry Sanders.
Yeah. Well, I've always been a fan of your work. We've watched you. I was in Oregon when I first started getting into chasing, and we watched the show. And you're a household favorite. How did you come about? How did that all come about? How did you read the show? Walk us through that.
Yeah. So I started in 98. I went to Central Michigan University. Reed was one of my really good friends back in the day in high school and whatnot. And he actually got me a summer job, our first summer job at a golf course. So we started out being bag boys, and then we kind of transitioned into working the maintenance, like the grounds crew. So it's kind of like Caddyshack, kind of.
Yeah.
The movie. But yeah, he got me the job, and then that he went to Oklahoma University, and that first summer back, we were coming back to work at the golf course, and he was like, "Yeah, I just tried this the storm chasing thing. We should go check it out." So started chasing, and just kind of fell in love with it. We didn't really know kind of what we were doing back then. We just kept driving around in rain, thinking that we were storm chasing. And then it just kind of started clicking, kind of multiple years into it. And next thing, I graduated school, moved down to Oklahoma. And that 2008 season, we had a really good season as far as capturing footage. And that's the first year of the show, Storm Chasers. And I think they were just kind of focusing on Sean Casey and Dr. Warman.
Yes.
They didn't really get too much footage. So they ended up buying all of our footage, which in turn, doing the editing and all that jazz, they're like, wow, these guys are pretty crazy, pretty cool, and I guess. And yeah, one thing led to the next, and they asked us on for the next season, and that was it. It just kind of took off from there for the next 5 years.
So during that process, you had no clue, obviously. I mean, how could you? But do you look back kind of with a sense of pride that they followed, the whole thing was based around the TIB, and you guys were kind of these wild college kids core punching through at first rain, and we've all been there, right? We've all done the trying to figure it out for sure, and in the end you crafted it into one of the best careers out there that as far as following everybody from that show, you guys have done marvelous.
Yeah. So it started out the way they put it in the TV world is the A team, right? So the A team would have been Sean and Josh, and we were the B team, oh, you only get so many minutes per episode, blah blah blah. And then we just kept killing it. 2009, we had an awesome season.
Yeah, you guys
quickly advanced to the A team. So we were kind of the focus of the whole show. And then and Joel and Reed were so good. They had chased together that whole 98 season, before I even joined them, and just killed it. Like they vibe well together. Joel, God bless his soul, he's not with us
Yeah.
anymore, but
Yep.
and we just all gelled so well together. But we
What
were
do
we were
you?
like those kind of the footloose, kind of like carefree young guys, trying to push new things and pushing the envelope. And I always kind of said that I was kind of the glue that held the team together, because they would just, Reed and Joel would just get at each other. And,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, we're all out there for the same purpose.
Where did that come from? Because it felt like those two grew up together. Like I didn't realize how far back you and Reed had gone. Those two seemed like they had that, kinetic brother energy that can go from 0 to 100. But when they were on point, like you said, it was a magic.
Oh yeah, it was a pure magic. Like, I don't know. Like, I think they just kind of started doing classes together. I want to say, I don't really know the whole backstory there, but I want to say they started in classes together. Joel was the kind of guy that would come to class with like a lightning bolt on his shirt, or like a rain cloud or something, and just kind of that nerdy kid. And then I know, like, back then they were deep into basketball, so that Joel was like 6'7". So they always played basketball, pick up basketball games, and then it's kind of like, hey, we should go chase together, and one thing led to the next. But yeah, when they were on point, it was like you just couldn't stop them.
It really was. The synergy on camera those guys had I don't think has been matched to this day. Since then, outside of what I've seen with you guys up in when you started the second tour of TV, you and I don't understand the 100% today what the filming is, because I know it's switched. So if you can enlighten everybody on what's going on with that.
Yeah, so like it was in the beginning of 2013. I had left with Reed. We just kind of didn't see eye to eye anymore as far as things went. So kind of left that. And the PR person that I was using at the time was also Greg Johnson's PR person. And so she kind of connected us two in that winter time, like in January of 2013. It was like, hey, you two should talk, try to figure something out. And Greg was just amazing. It was like, hey, why don't you just move up here to Canada? You can crash at my house, for the storm season. And that was a plan. And then after storm season, I had originally planned to come back down to the States, and I'd tried to line up a job to work with Discovery Channel. And that second night here in Canada, ended up going out for dinner, and I met my wife that night. So
that's how that came about.
It's been history ever since then, which is great. But yeah, so I joined with Greg and Ricky, and the way it worked out is like the first year, 2013, we had El Reno. We had a couple other good chases as well. And then 2014, we started talking to a production company out of Toronto. And they were like, hey, we saw one of your videos. We think you guys are amazing. We have some connections with CMT, the Country Music Television channel. And so they ended up putting us on there for a season and a half. I think we did like one full season and then a half a season, like just kind of like a test market thing. And it went really, really well. And we're moving forward. And then all of a sudden, CMT got bought by another broadcaster. And when that happens, they bring in all their own management, all that stuff, clean slate. And so we got let go with that. And then we started with Netflix, going through Tornado Hunters again. And then COVID. And COVID just shut everything down for us.
I got to tell you, if there was ever a falling forward moment going from being taken off CMT to going on to Netflix, that had to have been a pretty good one for you.
Yeah, can't complain. Netflix is great. You can't get the numbers from them.
No, I hear that. I that's the common one you hear about from all actors, content creators. Going back to, I got to ask you this: your wedding, was that? I don't want to put you on the spot on this, but was that real that Greg was doing the tornado count and losing his mind, or was that a little hammed up for TV? Or
I think it was a little bit of both. Like, he really was losing his mind. Like when it came to the wedding stuff, I was gone on the road chasing the whole time, right? So my wife and her mom, my mother-in-law, kind of took over and was like, this is where we're having it. This is the did everything. when it came to the wedding, I didn't do anything. Like I didn't even get to pick out my own clothes. They're like, here, this is what you're gonna wear. So it was hands off on my front, but and then she picked the date. I'm like, listen, babe, that's right in the middle, like the hardest storm season. She's like, there'll be more storm seasons. Like, she's like, you're gonna be okay. And so then that's when I asked Greg to kind of be my not a DJ, but like kind of be like the guy on the mic, you know, introducing guests and blah blah blah. And then all of a sudden out of nowhere he pulled out the tornado count thing, which I thought was pretty funny.
I thought
but it was
hilarious.
A big day too. That was a big day of chasing.
Yeah. I felt his pain retroactively years later when I watched it, and I was like, "Oh, I've been there." So I had to know the behind the scenes on that. So you are a father of how many kids?
I have 3 kids. So my son is my eldest. He's 7 years old, Jackson. He's in 2nd grade. I have Lily. Excuse me, Lily is 5 years old. She's in 1st grade or kindergarten. And then I have a 2-year-old Maisie, who's just at daycare.
At daycare.
So the two girls are strong-willed, like strong-minded. I love it about them. And then Jackson is just, you know, your typical young boy, like into everything, like just a mess. Everything he does is just messy. But he's just so much energy too. Like I wish I have his energy.
So they only know you as the storm chasing life. I have this with my little ones. They don't know a different world, do they?
Yeah, no, that's all they know. But like I feel like my 2 girls, they just still don't know. You know, they're still kind of clueless, like, oh, dad's gone for, you know, 10 days, he'll be back, and that kind of a thing. But Jackson, I think he for sure knows what I'm doing. Because we're always like, you know, say it's bedtime and I'm putting to bed or something, we'll pull up like a tornado video and watch it. And I try to teach him radar as well. Like I feel like he's on point when it comes to radar. Like he's probably better, I would say, than a lot of people out there right now chasing as far as reading a radar. But also like just driving to the grocery store with them too, right? Like say it's summertime, he's in the car seat in the back, he sees a storm off to the north or something, like, Dad, grab your camera, let's go. And I'm like, all right, let's go. And then my wife is like, hell no.
No, I was just going to ask, what's the rules of the household on the kids going?
Yeah, there's no chance at the moment. I think once maybe he hits 10 years old, it might be okay if it's, you know, within like 45 minutes of home or something. But she's puts her foot down, and I can respect that too.
Yeah, I totally get that. Someday, all our kids are going to be, you know, they're going to be in their teenage and their 20s, and it's going to be interesting to see if there is a generational chase, a wave of, you know, my kids are 4. I got older ones too, but they're not into it. You know, my son was born in a tornado warned storm in Wichita, Kansas in 2019, May 29th or 23rd, excuse me. And we were in the hallway right after he was born. They put us in the hallway. I used to work in heating and air conditioning. I wanted to get on the roof. I was thinking of a way, how can I go get on the roof to see this and not get in trouble? And as you know, people may not know, but the home life with like, oh, I'm just going to go do this real quick. It's not like what people think. People think that we're allowed to go do whatever we want. And it's simply just not that easy.
No, it's not even close. I mean, like pre-kids, pre-marriage, I could be on the road for 5 months straight and have no issue. But nowadays it's, and I don't want to be like that anymore. You know, I want to be around my kids. I want to see them, you know, playing soccer, playing football, whatever sports they're in, you know, be supportive as far as school goes, school plays, you know, like all that jazz. So, you know, I try to find like that happy medium, so to speak. But like for me, it'd be like, you know, let's say it's hardest storm season. If I'm gone 10 days, I try to be home 10 days. Gone for 10 days, home for 10 days kind of thing. And then I just really hope that those 10 days that I'm home, that absolutely nothing happens.
I've been there because I got a birthday, my son's birthday, May 23rd. So as you can imagine,
that's rough.
That's what, you can list off the tornadoes that have all happened on May 23rd.
I've got my mum's birthday in May. I've got my daughter's birthday in May. I've got my other daughter. And I've got my other daughter is in March, and I love chasing Aurora. So I get it all the time.
You know,
Dad, all the time.
Oh, Kurt.
And this year is a big one, a 30th. And it's like, are you
Oh.
really going? You're not going to be here? And I said, well, yeah, I will be here, but you can have your 30th when I get back. So, you know, but she's all right. She's okay. They're both okay, really. So, yeah.
Chris, could you imagine saying that for your daughter's 6th birthday? Oh, I'll be back.
Yeah, no. I'll make it up to you, hon. Don't worry. No, it's not.
Oh, it doesn't. You earlier, you talked about El Reno. You that was part of the filming. What's I mean, the obvious things of that day. We lost some legends of the industry, and you know, it's that tornado did so many things a lot of people have never seen. What do you recall from that day that stuck out?
Yeah, so it was pretty crazy. You know, for us, we were on it right at the start and we were kind of blasting east. I can't remember what the name of the road was, but we were blasting east. It was just our north at that time. And then we turned north on the north-south road to kind of, you know, have it come right at us and see what it was looking at. And it was still putting down, you know, it was multi-vorticity at that point. And then we decided to go south, maybe like a mile, and then blast back east, kind of stair step a little bit to the south and then go east. Because to us, it looked like it was turning more east than it was moving northeast. And then as soon as I don't know what it hit, you know, exactly, but it blew up at that point, right? And so we thought originally without like, because our data was down too at the point. I don't know why. I think a lot of the data issues out there is because there's so many storm chasers, you know, pulling off that one cell tower or whatever it may be. So we had no data.
2013. Sorry, it was 2013 too, where like data had to been a lot harder to come by on the field.
So we thought it was turning south for a couple hours. You know, after the fact, we're like, did that thing turn south and track like southeast? But then, you know, the day after, we found out that it just blew up, you know, and blew up just over 4 kilometers wide. Sorry, 2.5 miles wide. Whatever that is. I'm kilometers now.
I know. I was just gonna say you're Canadian.
He's gone European on us.
Yeah, he has. I was just over here like, okay, real quick, 4 kilometers, and then I remembered, oh, it's El Reno. Come on. Yeah. So when you guys, where did you exit that chase?
We exited just north of El Reno, and then we blasted. So you saw it because we got into the outer circulation. So unfortunately, Tim Samaras, you know, that whole crew, Paul and Carl, they were 1 mile behind us on the exact same road we were on. And then we had another Jeep in front of us. I think it was Brett Wright and Brandon Sullivan. And I don't know if you guys have seen that video, but
that was wild.
Yeah, directly behind them. And they had parts of a barn or a shed or something that was just pounding them and hit with like hay bales. And then, I don't know, they just started slowing down. So Ricky took it right over to a drainage ditch off to the left there. And I think you could see in their video too, you could see our truck like fly in the air going past them. And and then at that point, right before we bounced out of the ditch, we had like a 2.5-ton farm truck fly in the air and land right in front of us in that ditch.
Wow.
So then Ricky bounced us out of the ditch, and then Ricky, you know, God bless his soul, but like there's a point too, like where you got to call it, right? You could keep chasing after it, but everyone was like so amped up and like, what just happened? Like just insane. And I was sitting in the back seat with one of my friends, camera operator that used to work with us on Storm Chasers, and he and I were just back there high-fiving each other, like we got camera gold, like this is awesome. And Ricky was going through a thing, and so we decided to call it. And we went into El Reno and stopped at McDonald's to try to use the internet. And then it was like gridlocked. Like we had such a hard time getting out of that area. So that was our story pretty much.
That was I felt that's when Ricky became the Canadian Duke voice of the Dukes of Hazzard in that video. That was some impressive driving. You know, the guys in front of you talked about that. Panic is real. And, you know, every year it seems like we're losing more and more chasers. You know, that happened then. And it was a, you know, catastrophic thing to the chase community. I was, I don't know where you were on the second Andover. We had, my channel is predicated on public safety more than it is the art of it. And the first tornado warning storm went just north, and I took off after it, didn't stay in Keechee. Long and short of it is, Andover 2 happens. We come back through, help people. On our way home that night, we were not far from the 3 young kids from OU that passed away. Yeah. So we came up on that scene and took off. And yeah, so it's getting, unfortunately, where I'm going with this question is it's becoming more and more normalized to lose chasers every year. What, in your 27 years of doing this, what do you think when you look at what's happening?
I think it's, it's horrible. Obviously, on that second Andover day, I was playing the triple point up in Nebraska, like northern Nebraska.
Okay.
We drove down from Canada. We drove all night, and we knew we couldn't get down to the dry line there in that central Kansas area. So we just played the triple point, but just horrible, man. I mean, like, I'm not one to speak either. I'm not one to be like, hey, you shouldn't do this. You can't do that. Like, that's just not my style. Like the way
I know.
that we learned, as you go out and do it and you learn from your mistakes. But nowadays people are pushing that envelope even more just in normal vehicles, like just like a normal car, and they're trying to get inside of a tornado, which is not smart.
No.
I just think everyone's just got to take a step back and just realize that, it's just as beautiful looking at a storm from half mile away than it is, part of the 0 meter club. Like, you don't need to be there. You don't need to do that.
I wasn't even going to take him to the 0 meter club, but it's tough because, like, you've made a career out of getting some amazing footage and being, in that club. It's, where is the line on, I feel like you guys are in, you've walked the walk to be in that. How do you delineate from what's safe and what's not when people see that footage? How do you explain to folks?
I mean, number one, when we first started, we were in the Dominator. So it's like, literally it's a tank. It's built specially just to go inside tornadoes, EF3 or weaker, bulletproof exterior, bulletproof windows, hydraulic system dropped straight flush to the ground. We shot spikes in the ground at the exact same time. So we were safe to a point, right?
Yeah, right.
With the tornado trucks, with tornado hunters, they're once again built Baja style, external roll cage, bulletproof material all over the vehicles. It's still not as safe as the Dominator, but if we did have an oops moment, we could have an exit strategy and get out of there, whether it be through a field or whatever it may be. That's the way, build the vehicles light truck kind of fast and be able to go through anything. But nowadays, if you just take a normal, even just a full size SUV with 4-wheel drive, it's not the same thing.
No.
You got a flying piece of debris coming at that vehicle at, F4, EF4 wind speeds. Like, it's going to go clear through the vehicle like a knife with butter.
Now, I'm guilty of this. We drove in a very light-weighted SUV for majority of my chasing time out, and it wasn't until I went up to Kentucky and I met with folks that survived that, and they took me to a graveyard of vehicles, and it definitely opened my eyes. Why do I feel like I'm so bulletproof in a vehicle that has but just the thinnest little margin of air, and every one of those vehicles were sliced open like a shark just bit through them. So it is, I just, not to take you down a bummer, but I feel like people can learn from, folks like you that have such years behind the wheel and years doing this, that, hey, be careful. You're not bulletproof. So jumping off of that, you went to Canada. What would you say the difference in chasing? Because you guys get some tornadoes up there where you're at. What do you think is different about chasing up there versus chasing in the Southern Plains?
Yeah, so when I first started chasing in Canada, when I moved up here, the number one, the internet connection is unreal. You could be out in the middle of nowhere and have the best internet, like high speed internet. It's changed now. They've kind of throttled things down a little bit, but just the road network is great. It's really gridded in Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. And they're not dirt roads; it's all like gravel roads. So you can, go at a pretty good speed if you need to. It stays lighter later. It doesn't really get dark in the summertime up here till like 11:30. I'd say 11:30 is pitch black, but I'd say like 10:30, 11, you could still see, defined storm in front of you in mid-summertime. And the season's later. So, we start our season down south. And as the spring and summer kind of progress, you just work your way back north and finish back home, which is always great. I want to say we average between Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba. I bet you we average, 60 to, I guess, depending on the ingredients, but 60 to 100 tornadoes a year up in here.
Okay. And you run tours.
I do. Yes. Yeah. So that's a thing I kind of started a little bit after COVID there. Tried to do it during COVID, but we had lockdown a border, so I couldn't cross the border. But running tours, I take people out chasing. We get asked all the time, like, oh, I'd love to do that. I'm like, come on out, let's do it. So it's 7-day tours, 8-day tours, and 1 10-day tour. But yeah,
what do you got left available? Sorry, what do you got left available?
Yeah, a couple ones. Tour 4, Tour 5. You can go to my website. It's chrischittick.com is the name of the website, and it has all the schedule right on there actually. But for me, when I take somebody out, that's like, I've been there, done that, right? Like, I've seen lots of tornadoes in my time, all kinds of tornadoes, experienced a lot of things with tornadoes. But for me, what gets me going nowadays is taking Joe Schmo, who's never seen a storm, never seen a tornado, take them out, get them in front of a storm, get them in front of an amazing looking tornado safely, obviously. Right. And, experiencing like and just go through the roller coaster with them, like the highs, the lows. My ultimate goal is say you come out chasing, by the end of my tour, you're going to know exactly how to chase on your own.
I was just going to say,
know how to read the radar. You're going to know their position. You're going to know how to read the map. You're going to know how to forecast, and just get out there and do it on your own. Grab a buddy and start chasing locally, and then, as that gets comfortable, expand your area a little bit. Chase a little bit more. But to me, more people out there, the more people calling 911. Letting people know exactly what's happening, which is ultimately, our ultimate goal.
That is, I'm in the midst of building a chaser network on my page for that very reason, and we've had success in mitigating deaths due to severe weather. So that is the ultimate goal. So how long is a chase season for you? Going all the way up to Canada?
Yeah, so I'll start kind of middle of April, and then figure out like 10 days on, 10 days off, and do that all the way up to, say, beginning of July for the United States. And then by that point, usually by like July 4th, which is my favorite holiday, by the way, usually by 4th of July, we're up here in Canada, like chasing either right around the border, like North Dakota, Saskatchewan border, even Montana, Alberta border, and into Canada, which is phenomenal, chasing up here as well. And we'll chase up here pretty much all the way up through August.
That was my next question. Have you done hurricanes?
I have. Yeah. I haven't done them in a long time. Last hurricane I chased was down, I can't remember the name of it, but it was down in just outside of Austin down there. It was been 2016. Okay.
So it's been I haven't seen anything relatively lately on hurricanes with you, so I didn't dive into any old footage when I asked that, so I apologize a little bit.
And for me too, it's like I do the full storm season, right? And my wife, she's super cool with it, but there's obviously, she wishes I was home. So then if I dove right into a hurricane chase, like, I think she would just
what use would you have? And when I say this, I don't mean this glib and flip, because you've saved a lot of lives. You've been part of that. I know you're humble. You don't even want to hear that. But other than going down there to get to volunteer, there's nothing in a hurricane that, there's the artistic side is pretty, it's tough to get anything like a supercell on camera like you would in a hurricane. I've gotten some time lapses and whatnot, but it's not photogenic for the most part. It's it's death and destruction on a level that for some folks it's unfathomable. So I can appreciate your wife saying, hey, you do enough. But I was just curious if you do. What do you think about chasing abroad?
I love it. So when I was with Reed, we did go down to South America and chase Argentina, um, and it was phenomenal. Like it
What
was
was
such
that
a
like?
phenomenal experience. We maybe saw that first night. Maybe it was down. It was southwest of Buenos Aires. I can't remember the name of the town right now, but we might have seen a nighttime tornado. Uh, but they spin in the opposite direction, which is also unbelievable. And it took some time to wrap your brain around that. All the storms are moving southwest rather than northeast.
Right.
Um,
That had to be
and
weird.
when we were down there, like the internet, the service was horrible. So I think we had to use like a satellite phone that we could only view lightning strikes on. So if we knew we saw lightning strikes, then we knew there was going to be a storm there. But yeah, no, I love it. I think, to be honest, I think that'd be such an amazing show as well. Like
Okay.
kind of grab a crew and you go at the drop of a hat. You can plan, you know, 2 weeks in North America, do a week in, go with Kurt over to Italy. You could do water spouts, you could do typhoons. There's so many, weather happens all over the world, right?
Yeah.
Like I think there's so much stuff out there that we could do. The only issue is I think it'd be really expensive.
So I'm flirting with that idea. The show part, I don't have near the connections that you guys have, but I have the ability to fly all over the world on standby for free, and I just got my passport. So I plan on next year.
Hey,
Going
what's
abroad.
going on? American with a passport.
Yeah, I know. It took me 5 years to get it, but
That's unheard of.
yeah. So I was just curious on your thoughts on it because it's something, I mentally am preparing to go get stuck in Indonesia in a super typhoon, and I wanted your thoughts on what your experiences were. So
Yeah, no, I think it'd be great, dude. I think it's depending on what your end goal is, I think the way you approach it, you got to be prepared for everything, right? Like
yeah,
bring it's like I'm sure you've chased hurricanes, but it's like extreme camping.
yeah,
You got to bring all your own gear. You got to bring all your own battery stuff. You got to be able to way to charge your batteries. You got to bring food. You got to bring water. You got to bring fuel. You got to have a
medicine.
safe space to go to. You got to have a backup safe space to go to. There's so much preparedness that goes into it, but I think it's doable. And depending on what your end goal is, I think it's amazing.
Saving lives. I purely am in it to help. So what started this was how terrible the radar is for the folks in the UK. I don't know if you've seen. I was doing a radar live for them when they had those last two storms, and those poor folks, it's just blobs on the screen. It's really difficult. They don't have radar scope like we do, and I'm sure I'm telling you everything you already know. But then I started looking into like Indonesia, and I started looking into other. They have nothing. They have virtually, and I started wondering why I was getting all these followers in countries that don't even use the alphabet like we do. You know what I mean? Completely squiggly lines and stuff. And I started diving into it more and more, and actually started chatting with people in weather groups over there. And we're spoiled here, and I realize that more and more as my career goes on, and I feel like it's the next step to where I want to go is chasing abroad. So I wanted to pick your brain on it, and I wasn't sure how much you'd seen or done, and so that's my next.
Yeah, it's difficult. Like the only place, I mean, I've looked overseas at different radar, and it's just garbage. It's like
It's
we're like to us, to the U.S. people, it'd be like you're back in 1985.
yeah,
Looking at, and
yeah.
that's the way. Unfortunately, that's the way it is in Canada too. Like through Environment Canada, it's just all pixelated. It's horrible. But thankfully, some of the radar programs that we use, like Radar Scope and whatever program you use, it does creep into Canada a little bit. But
Do you think we'll see that in our lifetime? Do you think we'll see that changed?
I think so. I think unfortunately, there's going to be a trigger to make that change happen, which would be like, I'm just going to speak about Canada, but unfortunately, like a big metroplex or a city or something just gets, devastated to make that happen. But unfortunately, I think that's going to be the trigger to make that switch.
So
they have the capability. They have the capabilities are there. It's just they keep it government. They just keep it private.
Okay. So, and again, I know it's so like people get turned off real quick when we go conspiracy or we start talking why we don't like things. But it's so interesting that for all of millennial, the countries have all shared amongst each other, right? Since World War II, we've all been sharing technologies and this and that. And then we get to severe weather radar, and we're like, hey, we have this wonderful thing, and it just hasn't translated like I'd hoped. So I hope in our lifetime, it's something I'm going to try to. I mean, I'm the little guy. I'm sure all of us are when it comes to that, but something to raise awareness for. So going back to, I would be remiss if I didn't ask this. A lot of, Ricky's a fan favorite as well. He's a good looking kid who, he gets a lot of attention. What's some of the funniest stories people might not know about you guys that have happened over the years? Nothing like to put you guys on blast or anything, but just something to give a behind the peak that they wouldn't have seen on the shows.
We do a lot of pranks. Like we used to prank each other a lot. Since I don't know if anyone knows this, but since COVID hit, we're kind of getting back into it. And Ricky decided to go his own way, kind of do more influencer work and with storms and whatnot. And Greg is doing his photography thing, and I'm running the tours. And so we've kind of split up a little bit. You never know, down the road we might all come back together. Like who knows? But when we were chasing together, it was it was just constant pranks
all the time.
Eating at dinner time, like trying to make, if you're ordering or something, like trying to repeat the words under your breath, and like that it just confuses everybody, and just silly pranks. But we did a lot of bets too. So like,
give me one of those.
Storms, betting on like a time that we think the tornado is going to happen. If you lose, you got to eat like the hottest hot wings we could possibly find.
Oh, I love it.
I can't wait.
Stuff like that. Like just goofy frat style kind of like pranks.
Okay. All right.
Chris.
I wasn't sure if you guys had, that's kind of the standard in the industry. People, the bands stay together so long and then they go do their own thing. So I don't want to terribly look into that, but I can tell you guys all three brought your own dynamic to the table. That it was one of probably my favorite series was Tornado Hunters out of your career. I mean, I don't want to take away from what you guys did in Storm Chasers, but I enjoy when somebody reinvents themselves. I think that is a when you and Dick went on that chase in not Roswell, what was it, Roselle, I'm gonna butcher it, the thing that went into that, which race I'm talking about, like that one, you guys went in and it was like, you get these little, I've had it in my team, we're going to go here. It's hard to all agree on something. And great thing is multiple vehicles, you can do it. But I appreciate when people reinvent themselves, and what you guys did through Tornado Hunters was short of phenomenal. I mean, you really did. And going into you going forward, you're doing tours and you're on the fence on TV, or what's your thoughts on getting back into TV?
I mean, TV, I'm not going to pursue it anymore. Like if it comes to, knocking on my door, I'll probably take a look at it. But at this point, especially with the family, like if we did TV again, like I'd be gone for a long period of time,
right.
Away from the family. And I feel like if I can get these tours going full force and, keep into that schedule, 10 days on, 10 days off kind of thing, like, I'd be happy with work, happy home. And in the off season, I do a lot of speaking or appearances as well. So it's kind of a good balance. Maybe when the kids get older, maybe I could try to focus on something a little bit where I'd be gone for more of a period of time. But as of right now, like it's a perfect fit where I'm at.
Okay. So if Netflix came a knocking again, you'll listen, but you're not running to it. You've done it. You've really done it all. I mean, what's left to do?
Yeah, I mean, like I would definitely, I would listen to him and try to, maybe if I could say, hey, let's film for 3 weeks and then give me 2 weeks off and film for 3 weeks. Like I could do that, but
okay.
I'll definitely answer.
I'm baiting you for any TV producers because they watch all of our stuff. Okay, so going back to lastly on the tours, you have been doing the tours since COVID. You got 2 tours left. Folks in the UK, they're always asking how, it's the dream to get to America. I didn't know this until I got into this industry, how many people, and it feels like hundreds of thousands of people around the world that are like, I have always wanted to do what you're doing. How can they get to this tour? They go to chrischittick.com.
Yeah, go to chrischiddick.com. There's some information on there. Take a read, look at the dates, and there's a contact us at the very bottom there. It comes directly to my email. And then what I like to do is I like to set up a phone call. I'm not really like an email kind of guy. I'd rather talk to someone not face to face, but just
Right.
talk to someone in person, whether it's a video chat or just on the phone, and just kind of talk to them and see really what they're after, like what their ultimate goal is. We're not getting into tornadoes. I like to get close. I like to say I like to hear it, smell it, feel it, and see it, obviously. But
Right.
I'm going to put you in front of some stuff that I can guarantee you've never seen before.
Your portfolio speaks for itself. It absolutely does. So when people go, they'll see it all there. I got to ask you this before we let you go, because I know we're getting against the hour and got the kiddos coming home. When you see, and I'm gonna take you through all this real quick and be just a little bit of a long-winded one here. But now we have social media. We have all these platforms. We have, you got the Chaser Wars, the Chaser Drama, Chasers working together, people watching all of us, like sports fans watch football players. What do you think when you sit back 27 years later and you see the platform, the way this is all going now?
I don't try to get into drama. Number one, like I try to live my life drama free.
Right.
But it does happen, like I see people back in the day when Tim was still running the Chaser convention out of Denver, you'd show up and people are so nice to you face to face. And then, as soon as they get home behind their laptop or computer or whatever, they're talking trash. And I just don't think that's cool. Right. Like,
right.
At the end of the day, we're all out there for the same purpose. We have a true feeling of passion for weather. Hopefully people are calling in reports. We're all out there for the same thing. Like it's a shared, to me, it should be like, instead of talking trash, go over and give a high five and be like, that was such an amazing experience to see that tornado. Like, love it.
Work together. Yeah.
Yeah.
Self-admittedly, when I started off, I found myself falling into some of the similar, being jealous, and everybody's on their phone 6 seconds after a storm, not looking at the storm. And in my quick time out there, I found that being happy for somebody else's success actually brings you happiness, and that took me a second, and I can vouch for that. Does it blow you away how we're all running around with our own TV shows, with all the being able to go Facebook Live or TikTok Live or whatever, YouTube Live?
Yeah, but I also think at that same point it's great. I think it's crazy, but I think it's great too, just even for the National Weather Service, just to tune in or hit a hashtag and be able to look at someone's screen and be like, okay, this is exactly what's happening in that location.
Isn't that wild?
At that time.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. My intrusive thought was, when 10 years before you and Reed started, the first generation of Chasers, maybe a little bit farther back, they used to have to go interview radio tower, talk to the sheriff. What did you see yesterday here? What did the cloud look like? Draw a picture of it. Like, just not long ago, there was so much work looking at charts, and like chasing was on another level. Now everybody runs around with a handheld tell you everything device. But like you said, for mitigating storm fatalities, you got to imagine the NWS just loves that they have the ability to look at everybody's stuff in real time. So
yeah, I think also just for your, what I don't know what people call it nowadays, but your armchair chaser, right? Like people at home who can't make it out, for some reason or another, and they can just kind of live vicariously through a stream, watching it and kind of engaging with the people, and hopefully the person running the stream can engage back at that point, and say, hey, this is what we're seeing. This is what time it is. Here's, a radar screen grab that we're looking at. Potentially, this is what might happen. Like, I think it's all great, personally.
Hey.
Last question on this one, Chris. What do you think the future is now? I mean, think about it. We got drones in the air. Everybody's in this, sky competition to get the best footage from the sky. What do you think the future of storm chasing is for footage?
I don't know. Like, before drones, it was like 3D, right? And like, I mean, there's so, like, who knows? Like, I don't know. Like, I want to say virtual reality, but I think that's always part of 3D too. Like, I'm not sure. What do you guys think?
I think when you guys launched the rockets, the SD rockets out of the Dominator, I'm surprised more people haven't gone that route with that kind of footage.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now drones, drones are so easy now. So
yeah, just like what you just take a drone, just fly right into the tornado.
I'm going to jump in here on our Facebook stream here, and we got a few minutes. I'm going to see if anybody, because I can't see on his Zoom to see. Oh, sorry, reverb. Go through some fan questions here. Oh, we got a bunch of them. Sorry, hold on. We'll do this as quick. Sorry, folks. We got Chris for just a few more minutes. Yeah, a bunch of Tornado Hunter fans. They're the OGs of everybody. Amazing journey, of course. That's the thing. Your whole journey, your whole career has played out with pretty much the advent of the modern cameras. I mean, you guys started with the VHSs, and then, I mean, I'm telling you what you started with, but you really have your career started from the beginning, and now it's handheld. I gotta tell you a funny thing. Not funny, but before we leave, you know about the 1955 Udall tornado?
Yes.
I found footage in 8mm canister with the original damage footage the next morning. So back then, the only people that had access to cameras was Hollywood, the railroad, and the federal government, and a really rich insurance salesman in Ponca City, Oklahoma, who went over the next morning. So he shoots all of this on his 8mm, which back then you had to be really wealthy to have. Sticks it in a closet. 68 years later, I'm shooting a time lapse at the VFW, where the internet doesn't exist, kids. And so I go and get permission and say, hey, it's in front of this nice gun tour at Pink Sky, that Oklahoma morning Pink Sky. And this guy comes out and says, hey, you might be, I might have something you're interested in. And I'm like, okay. And he says, my father shot the 1955 Blackwell Udall tornado. And I get goosebumps talking about it. Just, you can imagine I'm sitting in a parking lot at 6 a.m., 7 a.m. And sure enough, he shot it, stuck at 68 years. It sat in a can, and then they redid it. So I'm trying to work with folks. Originally, it was the History Channel, and they've cooled on it. But I want to make a good documentary for the footage. And then I lived there. I lived right where the tornado ended. It ended on my ranch. So someday I want to bring that to the world, the footage I have from that. But I thought you get a kick out.
That's such a cool story too.
Yeah. So
yeah, but for me, like shooting, like video wise, so like the way I started, sitting next to a guy named Chris Whiteneck, who was a shooter, like the #1 shooter, director of photography for the Storm Chaser show, and he sat right next to me. Okay. So for hours and hours and hours and days and days and days on end, right? So I just picked his brain nonstop of like, what do I do here? And like almost to the point where I was probably like abusing him, like, like, okay, that's enough, stop. Like I need to shoot. But that's originally where I started, and that's where I learned was from that one of Discovery shooters, and
that's where it started.
Yeah, and every year, new equipment comes out, new stuff comes out. Try this, try that. But you still, you go back to what you love, and I still shoot video, a bunch of video, but I just shoot on a 5D Mark III right now.
That's what I was going to ask. What you?
I just shoot iPhone. Yeah, iPhone works just as good too.
Can real quick? Kay Gardner says I chased with Chris. He is awesome. Fun times in the Morton, Texas tornado. So shout out to Kay.
Hey, Kay.
Real quick. Yeah. So a lot of folks, everybody's showing you the love. I mean, you're a staple of the community, a legend of this. I really appreciate your time. One more time on the tours. I'd love to promote those folks in the UK. If you want to go chase with Chris on his tours, one more time, Chris.
Yeah. So head to chrischittick.com. I'll put it up in one of the comments here, but go check it out. Still have some spots open, probably about 60% full right now. And still have some spots open, a couple spots on each tour. So check it out. If you have any questions whatsoever, I am not afraid to talk to anybody, get you on the phone, get you on a video chat, and kind of answer your questions and tell you how the tour goes. So once again, that's chrischittick.com. And I just want to thank you guys. Thanks for having me out here. It's great. Sorry, my voice is a little weird. I did some speaking earlier today and kind of lost my voice a little bit. But once again, thanks so much. It's been great, and love to be on here again if you guys.
Oh, we'll definitely have you back. Well, I was just gonna say this is called Tornado Talk. You're the first this is the first episode, and hopefully it wasn't too clunky for the folks. But we should bring in one more time for the guy that put this together tonight. Kurt, why don't you come on in and say goodbye to everybody?
Yeah, hi, all. Yeah, no, that's good. I've been very happy. It's been great to be part of this. So yeah, I'm very happy.
Thank
you, I think with big thanks to Kieran as well. Is he still there?
He's been in the shadows.
Is he? Is he in the shadows?
How's it going?
Yeah. Oh, there he is. There's our IT.
With his Sooner shirt on too. How amazing is that?
It's really good.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Okay, well, we'll let you get to it, but definitely don't be a stranger, and we'll have you back as soon as you got anything new going on, or you just want to come chat with us.
Yeah, dude, and you also got my number. So if you're out there and I'm out there, let's try to meet up for a dinner or a drink or something.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
and I'm coming to Canada this year. I got my passport now, so
perfect.
I'll see you there if Canada will have me. Thanks, sir.
All right, see you, fellas.
Take care.
Again, Kurt.
Nice one. Cheers, guys.